Welcome to this session. In this session, we are going to be looking at how to center elements. Sometimes it can be so tough and so difficult to center elements using CSS, and we are going to be looking at different options available anytime there is a need for you to center elements, and depending on the one you find most useful and most practical, you can go with it. The first one is you can use the text align method. You can also use margin to center elements, and you can also use flexbox. You can use grid, and you can use absolute positioning. Now we have been able to define a div, and in this div we have a paragraph which we are going to be using as our example. Now let's start with the first one, which is let's select it with the class of container. Now the first way of centering an element is using the text align property. So of course you can have some text that you feel okay you want to center, so you just apply text align and it's going to move it to the center. So text align center, you can see that we have this our text in the center at the center. So that is that about the first method. Now considering the second method, which is using margin, and if you also pick this div with the class contained, you definitely have margin. You can set the margin to the margin to the first one is the margin vertically, which you are setting to 0, and margin horizontally you are setting to auto, meaning that it should be automatic at the left and at the right. So meaning that push it from the left, push it from the right, and it will apply a balance to it, which will make it to be at the center, And for clarity, so you can just set a width of 200 pixels, and let's apply some border to it so that we see what we are doing. And just set red. Now you can see that the element has been positioned to the center, and this is the element. This is the center. That's how to center an element horizontally. You can set a margin of vertically to 0 and horizontally to be auto, so it will push it left and right and it will move it to the middle. Of course you might not be seeing my whole screen, and this is the whole thing. You can see that it's definitely at the center, and even if you increase the width, it definitely will still be at the center because we are working with margin. Now using the third method, which is the flexbox. Now let us select this third class, which is the center div class, to center an element to the center, to put an element to the center using flexbox. So to do that, we just pick that div with this class, and we set the display first to flex since we are using flexbox, and we also set it to justify content. This justify content is the horizontal alignment, so you set it to the center horizontally. So this is horizontal alignment. So let me just set this horizontal alignment, and of course you can also have align items to the center, to be centered. This align item is the vertical alignment. And take note of the fact that if you are putting something to the center either horizontally or vertically, preferably vertically, you should be working with a particular height in mind. If you don't have any height, then what are you trying to place to the center? So you should set the height of this element. So maybe the height of the element is maybe 100 VH, just to apply it. So you can see now that vertically and horizontally it's at the center. Why? Because we have some element at the top here, and we say that the height should be 100 VH. So that's why it's need to extend a bit, so that because of this space that these other elements are taking, and that's how to justify or move an element to the center using flexbox. So take note of the fact that when you see justify content, you're talking about horizontal alignment. When you see align item, then you're talking about vertical alignment. Vertical alignment. Now the fourth one is using grid. Now I'm going to be using this same example. but let me just duplicate this. Let me just duplicate it and using grid, and I'll just comment out this. Remove this. This. So then I remove this too. Now, so using the grid now, let's now remove this. So using the grid method, all you just need to do is set the display like we have looked at previously. Set the display to grid, and this one is a very simple one. Just place items, set it to center, and the height. The height should also set the height, because what are you trying to center? But this one is both horizontally and vertically. Place items. If you are setting it to grid, it will automatically put it to the center, both horizontally and vertically. You can see now this is our element. If you want to see the element, let's just say centered DP, and let's add some border to it. 1 pixel solid red. Now you can see the element is definitely at the center. So this one is very simple, but remember to always set the height. If you don't set the height, then it will be contained in that particular container, meaning that it cannot expand. So it's when you expand the container that the element in the container can now spread itself to the center based on the height that the elements have. Now the last but not the least, of course, we may have other methods of centering and putting an element to the center, but this is the last one I'm going to be considering in this tutorial, in this section of the tutorial. So, and that is using the absolute positioning. So of course you can also set the position to be absolute, and I'll just remove this and I'll save, so that you see that of course you can see that that is not at the center. So now to set to the center, I just set the first thing, set the position to absolute. The property in CSS, position to absolute, and from the top I want it to be 50%, and from the left I want it to also be 50%, meaning that 50% occupy half of the position from the top and occupy half of the position from the left, meaning that it will definitely be pushed to the center. So you can see now that from the top it has been pushed to the center, because if we remove this, of course I don't want to remove them, but just know that from the top it has been pushed to the center, and from the left it has been pushed to the center, and that is the last one, which is the absolute positioning method.